Welcome to Stamps Old World UK, your trusted destination for everything about the rare and fascinating world of philately. Today's video will dive deep into the current market value of collectible stamps, especially focusing on how the stamp market stands today in terms of US dollars. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out in the beautiful journey of stamp collecting, this guide will offer invaluable insight into what makes certain stamps highly sought after and how the global market shapes their price in 2025. The stamp you're looking at in the thumbnail, and possibly the one many collectors recognize, is the iconic red British first-class stamp featuring Queen Elizabeth II. This stamp design is one of the most recognized in the world and has been a symbol of British postal history for decades. Despite being mass-produced, certain limited editions, printing errors, or stamps with historic postmarks can fetch high prices in auctions and private sales. But what really determines the value of a stamp in today's market? The modern stamp market has become increasingly dynamic. Prices are influenced by multiple factors, including rarity, condition, historical importance, country of origin, and demand among collectors. For example, a common Queen Elizabeth II definitive stamp may be worth only a few cents to a few dollars in mint condition. However, a rare misprint, such as an inverted head or wrong color error, can increase the value dramatically. In today's market, even common stamps can appreciate in value if they are preserved well, especially in unhinged mint condition. As of 2025, the global interest in philately has been reinvigorated thanks to digital marketplaces, online auctions, and stamp exhibitions being hosted across the world. The average value of collectible stamps, especially those from the Victorian and Edwardian eras, has seen a significant rise in US dollar terms. A penny black in fine condition today could be worth between $3,000 to $7,000 depending on its centering, margins, and whether it is postmarked. Similarly, a mint condition penny red with plate numbers can sell from $50 to several $100s based on rarity. It's worth noting that British stamps with unique postmarks or those issued in colonies and former territories can also carry impressive values. For example, stamps from British Guiana, Mauritius, and early issues from India and Hong Kong have fetched thousands and, in some cases, millions of dollars at international auctions. These high-end items represent the rarest of the rare, often having only a few surviving examples known to collectors worldwide. Apart from rarity, market value is significantly impacted by global interest. Recently, collectors in the United States, China, and Germany have shown increased interest in British stamps, particularly those from the 19th and early 20th centuries. As demand grows, so does market value. Auction houses such as Stanley Gibbons, Spink, and Sotheby's have all seen record-breaking sales in the last couple of years. A strong example is the sale of the Plate 77 penny red, which sold for over $700,000 due to its rarity. Modern collectible stamps, such as commemorative issues, also hold value, especially when released in limited numbers. For instance, recent Royal Mail issues commemorating Queen Elizabeth II's Platinum Jubilee or stamps marking key historic anniversaries can be worth 5 to 10 times their face value within just a year of issuance, especially when preserved in pristine and used condition. Collectors are often willing to pay premium prices for complete sets, first-day covers, and limited edition presentation packs. If you're sitting on a collection of old British stamps or international issues, it's worth getting them appraised by a professional or researching completed sales online. Websites like eBay, Delcamp, and specialized philatelic platforms allow you to see what collectors are paying right now in US dollars. For instance, a standard George V stamp from the 1920s may sell for $5 to $20, but a rare printing or overprint from a specific colony could fetch $500 or more. Now let's take a closer look at market trends. Over the past 12 months, rare British stamps have appreciated in value by approximately 8% to 15%, depending on type and rarity. This growth is significantly higher than many traditional collectibles and even beats certain stock investments. The appeal of stamps lies in their blend of history, art, and tangible value. Many investors have entered the stamp market not just for the love of collecting, but as a way to diversify their assets in an increasingly uncertain global economy. So what should new and experienced collectors keep in mind to ensure their stamps hold or increase in value? First and foremost, condition is king. A stamp with tears, heavy cancellations, or discoloration will always be less valuable than a clean, well-centered example. Secondly, documentation matters. Provenance, certificates of authenticity, and detailed catalog listings can add significant value to a stamp. Thirdly, don't underestimate modern issues. Some recent limited edition Royal Mail releases have already tripled in value since their original sale price. In conclusion, the stamp market in 2025 is alive, thriving, and full of potential. With many stamps selling for thousands of US dollars, collectors need to stay informed and carefully manage their collections. Whether you collect for passion, nostalgia, or investment, stamps offer a fascinating window into history and a promising opportunity in the world of collectibles. If you enjoyed this deep dive into stamp values, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Stamps Old World UK, and click the bell icon so you never miss an update on rare stamps, collecting tips, and the latest market trends. Next up, the British second-class stamp featuring Queen Elizabeth II. While many collectors focus on rare errors and high-value Victorian issues, the humble blue second-class stamp holds its own quiet prestige and even has a place in serious collections and the stamp market today in 2025. Let's dive into its history, symbolism, and how much it can be worth in US dollars depending on condition, rarity, and market demand. The blue second-class stamp with Queen Elizabeth II's iconic profile is one of the most widely used and instantly recognizable postage stamps in the United Kingdom. First introduced in 1968 as part of the Machin Definitive Series, named after the sculptor Arnold Machin, whose elegant portrait of the Queen became the basis for the design, this stamp was created to signify economy and reliability in the postal service. While the first-class red stamp was associated with speed, the second-class blue stamp represented value and consistency, making it a workhorse of the British postal system for decades. Despite being a common stamp, there are many factors that can turn a seemingly ordinary Queen Elizabeth II second-class stamp into a sought-after collector's item. Over the years, there have been countless printings, variations in perforation, phosphor bands, color shades, watermarks, and even regional issues. These small differences can lead to significant differences in value. For instance, a rare phosphor band variation or printing error on a second-class stamp from the 1970s or 1980s can fetch between $50 and $300 today, depending on its rarity and condition. This is especially true for stamps that are unfranked, unused, or feature misprints that escaped quality control. In today's market, the base value of a standard second-class Queen Elizabeth II stamp in mint condition is modest, usually between 50 cents to $1.50 USD, depending on the issue year and printing batch. However, when it comes to specialized philatelic sales and auctions, certain printings from specific years, especially from the early Machin series, can achieve much higher prices. For example, a rare 1980 second-class stamp with a color shift or missing phosphor band can sell for over $100 in current auctions. Collectors look for stamps with pristine gum, sharp centering, and no handling marks. Even modern examples can appreciate in value if they were issued as part of a limited edition, commemorative booklet, or regional variation. Another aspect of value comes from presentation packs and first-day covers. A second-class stamp used on a clean, well-preserved first-day cover from a notable date or royal event, such as a jubilee or wedding anniversary, can be worth between $10 to $100 today, depending on historical relevance. Collectors prize the historical context and presentation of such items, especially when they include official Royal Mail cachets or autographs from public figures. What makes the Queen Elizabeth II second-class stamp so captivating is its representation of continuity. This stamp, unchanged in portrait for over 5 decades, marks a consistent presence in British households, offices, and businesses. In the stamp collecting world, continuity and cultural symbolism matter. Even in an era dominated by digital communication, these stamps continue to carry sentimental and collectible value. And since the passing of Queen Elizabeth II in 2022, interest in Machin series stamps has surged. Many collectors now seek to complete their QEII definitive collections before the new King Charles III issues fully replace them. This renewed interest has caused a noticeable uptick in prices over the past 3 years. As of 2025, the philatelic market has shown a growing appreciation for definitive series stamps, especially from the Machin era. Stamp dealers and collectors have reported a 10% to 25% increase in prices for rarer versions of second-class stamps. eBay, Delcamp, and Stamp Auction Network show regular activity where these stamps are bought and sold not just for pennies, but for dollars and more. A full sheet of older, mint-condition second-class stamps with a catalog-worthy printing error can bring in hundreds of US dollars. What matters is knowledge, knowing how to spot variants, recognizing shade differences, and identifying rare print codes. So how can you tell if your second-class Queen Elizabeth II stamp is worth more than face value? Start by inspecting the phosphor bands under UV light. Look for color shifts in the Queen's profile or inconsistencies in printing. Next, examine the perforations. Some rarer versions have different perforation patterns or were cut from booklets in unusual ways. Look at the date of issue, printing location, and even the gum on the back of unused stamps. All of these elements contribute to potential value. And remember, condition is crucial. Even the rarest stamp loses significant value if it's damaged or poorly stored. At Stamps Old World UK, we always advise collectors to keep detailed records, use archival quality storage, and stay up to date with stamp catalogs such as Stanley Gibbons, Scott, and Michel. These resources provide accurate valuation benchmarks and help collectors track fluctuations in the market. In the past year alone, we've seen sales of second-class Machin stamps with unique variants reaching over $500 in private auctions and exhibitions. Some collectors are even creating full Machin series albums, a project that not only boosts the value of each individual stamp but also adds collective historical weight to the set. In conclusion, while the Queen Elizabeth II second-class stamp may not seem extraordinary at first glance, it represents a hidden world of value, history, and cultural significance. It is a symbol of one of the longest reigning monarchs in history and a design masterpiece recognized worldwide. For collectors today, especially those building British or Commonwealth-themed collections, this stamp holds lasting value. With careful study and attention to detail, you might be surprised by just how much that small blue stamp is worth today in US dollars. Next up, the £1.35 Queen Elizabeth II Machin series stamp. Despite its understated appearance, this stamp holds a fascinating place in philatelic circles and, as of 2025, has carved out an impressive presence in the collector's market, especially when evaluated in US dollars. Let's begin with a bit of background. The Machin series is one of the longest-running stamp designs in the world. Introduced in 1967 and named after British sculptor Arnold Machin, this series features the simple yet regal profile of Queen Elizabeth II. What makes the £1.35 denomination unique is that it was not issued for everyday domestic mail but rather for international or heavier parcel postage. These higher-value stamps were printed in far smaller quantities than standard first- or second-class stamps. Their specific use and limited circulation make them less common and therefore more attractive to collectors, especially when found in mint condition or as part of a complete set of high-value Machins. The £1.35 Machin stamp, with its plum or deep lilac background and clean white engraving, is subtle in style but rich in postal history. It represents a period in British postal services when the need for more varied denominations was prompted by fluctuating international shipping rates and evolving Royal Mail services. Due to this limited use, fewer people saved or collected these stamps at the time, which today increases their relative scarcity. In 2025, depending on its issue year, condition, and printing variant, the value of a £1.35 Machin stamp can range from $10 to over $120 in the collector's market. Collectors prize this denomination particularly when it comes from specific printing years that featured phosphor variations, gum differences, or even security features such as elliptical perforations. In some cases, printing errors like color shifts, missing phosphor bands, or misplaced denomination numerals can significantly increase a stamp's worth. For example, a mint condition £1.35 Machin stamp with a rare color misprint from the early 2000s was recently sold for over $180 in a private online sale. The demand is especially strong for full presentation packs or panes that include the £1.35 denomination as part of a definitive or commemorative set. It's also important to remember that not all £1.35 stamps are equal in market value. Differences in catalog listing, whether from Stanley Gibbons, Michel, or Scott, can dramatically shift perceived value depending on region and buyer preference. A £1.35 stamp from a standard issue may be listed at around $10 to $15, but if it was part of a rare printing or a short-run variation, the catalog price could jump significantly. Another element that influences price is postal history. A commercial envelope or parcel cover bearing a clearly cancelled £1.35 Machin stamp from a rare date or region can fetch higher prices than a loose-use stamp, especially when linked to historical events or international routes. In today's global stamp market, which has embraced the power of digital platforms and online auctions, the demand for high-denomination stamps like the £1.35 Machin has seen a steady rise. Collectors from the United States, Canada, and Australia have shown particular interest in British definitives, and many are now assembling full Machin denomination runs. This means having every denomination, every color variant, and every type of perforation, making the £1.35 stamp an essential piece of the puzzle. The value in US dollars has remained strong and is climbing slowly but steadily, driven by international interest and limited supply of top-condition examples. So what should collectors look for when evaluating a £1.35 Queen Elizabeth II stamp? First, check the gum. Mint stamps with full original gum are always worth more. Next, use a lamp to identify phosphor bands or possible missing features. Check the margins and perforations carefully. Errors in these areas can be extremely valuable. If you have a full sheet or block of £1.35 stamps from a known rare printing, consider having them professionally appraised or certified. This can dramatically increase their market appeal, especially to serious buyers and investors. Interestingly, the £1.35 stamp also holds value when it comes to thematic and commemorative collecting. Some issues tied to specific Royal Mail releases or special occasions are prized for their design variants. A few presentation packs that included the £1.35 denomination, especially those linked to major royal anniversaries or state visits, have become mini collectibles on their own. These items not only appeal to stamp collectors but also to those collecting memorabilia related to Queen Elizabeth II, whose reign now holds deep historical significance following her passing. As we look forward in 2025, the future of the Machin series is coming to a natural end. With the introduction of new definitive stamps bearing the portrait of King Charles III, older Queen Elizabeth issues like the £1.35 Machin will only grow in historical and collectible value. This transitional period has sparked a buying frenzy among collectors aiming to complete their definitive albums. For many, the £1.35 stamp, along with other high-value denominations, marks the final chapter of a remarkable era in British postal history. To wrap up today's deep dive, remember this: the value of a stamp isn't just in its price tag, it's in its story, its design, and its place in history. The £1.35 Elizabeth II Machin stamp may seem like just another number in the definitive series, but for collectors who understand its scarcity, usage, and symbolism, it is a treasure. Whether you are collecting for passion, investment, or legacy, the high denomination stamps of the Machin era are a cornerstone of any serious British collection. Next up, the £2.80 Queen Elizabeth II green stamp. While many collectors begin their journey with familiar first or second class stamps, it's these higher denomination issues that reveal the hidden treasures of modern British philately. Join us as we explore its origin, usage, design evolution, rarity, and current value in 2025 in the international collector's market, especially in US dollars. To understand the £2.80 Queen Elizabeth II stamp, we must start with the legacy of the Machin series itself. Created in 1967, this series remains one of the most iconic and longest-running stamp issues in the history of the world. Designed by artist and sculptor Arnold Machin, the profile of Queen Elizabeth II used in this series has become a national symbol, representing stability, tradition, and elegance. Over the decades, thousands of variations were issued, different denominations, colors, printing techniques, phosphor banding, paper types, perforation styles, and security features. Among these variations, the higher denominations like £2 and 80p are often the most overlooked, yet they hold tremendous value in today's collector's world. The £2 and 80p stamp, printed in a rich green color, was not produced for standard postal use. Instead, it was specifically issued for use on international packages, express deliveries, and heavyweight domestic mail. Because of its limited function, this stamp was printed in far fewer quantities than common denominations like the first or second class. That simple fact, limited usage, makes the £2 and 80p stamp significantly rarer than many of its lower-value counterparts. It also means that collectors who wish to complete a full Machin series from the Queen Elizabeth II era must obtain these high-denomination stamps, which can prove to be a challenging and expensive endeavor. In terms of design, the £2 and 80p stamp maintains the clean elegance and classical simplicity of the Machin series. The Queen's profile is rendered in a pale silver-white tone, placed against a deep emerald green background. The denomination appears boldly in the lower left corner, styled in the traditional serif typeface that complements the rest of the series. Though simple at first glance, the design is carefully calculated for maximum visibility and aesthetic consistency. These high-value stamps were also more carefully monitored during printing, often including enhanced features like elliptical perforations, security over prints, or variations in paper texture and phosphor band application. As of 2025, the market value of the £2 and 80p Queen Elizabeth II Machin stamp has continued to climb steadily. On average, a mint condition example can sell for $25 to $75, depending on year of issue, color intensity, gum condition, and whether it was part of a particular booklet or pane. But not all £2.80 stamps are created equal. Certain limited printings, those with unusual color shades, misaligned perforations, or missing phosphor bands, are highly prized and can fetch $100 to $250 or more at major auctions. Collectors should be on the lookout for rare errors. These stamps might appear identical to the naked eye but under closer inspection reveal details that make them dramatically more valuable. One of the most valuable aspects of the £2.80 stamp is when it appears on original postal covers or complete sheets. A commercial envelope bearing one or more £2.80 stamps with a legible cancellation date, especially from a significant historical period, can significantly boost its value. For instance, envelopes mailed during major royal events, such as Queen Elizabeth II's Platinum Jubilee in 2022 or shortly after her passing, have historical and emotional value that goes beyond simple postage. Such items have recently sold for over $300 when preserved in excellent condition. Collectors also place great value on full panes and corner blocks. A full pane of £2.80 stamps, particularly from a rare print run or including margin inscriptions, can command prices exceeding $500, particularly when catalogued with cylinder numbers, control marks, or plate numbers. Dealers and philatelists also place a premium on positional blocks that show the relationship between printing elements, such as margin text, printer's guidelines, or Royal Mail logos. These are often the key to identifying rare variations and limited print runs. The impact of Queen Elizabeth II's death in 2022 has created renewed demand for all stamps bearing her image, especially the Machin series, which is now historically complete. With King Charles III's new definitive stamps gradually entering circulation, collectors are rushing to complete their Queen Elizabeth II Machin collections. This increased demand, combined with decreasing availability of pristine £2.80 stamps, has led to a consistent uptick in market price. Auction houses like Stanley Gibbons and Spink report growing interest in high-value Machins, with many collectors now treating them as viable investments in addition to philatelic treasures. In 2025, online platforms such as eBay, Hipstamp, and Delcamp continue to host dozens of listings featuring the £2.80 stamp. While many listings are for used examples in average condition, the real value is in the mint, unmounted, and well-centered pieces. It is not uncommon to see bidding wars over corner blocks, first-day covers, and rare plate varieties. The more informed you are as a collector, the better positioned you'll be to spot and acquire these hidden gems at a fair price before their values increase even further. To those beginning their Machin journey, let us offer this advice: don't ignore the high denominations. The £2.80 stamp, along with its siblings like £1.35, £3, and £5, might seem like outliers, but they are essential to a complete set. And as fewer people collected these high-value stamps at the time of issue, their relative scarcity has only increased. Adding a high-denomination Machin stamp to your album is not just a matter of checking off a box, it is an investment in historical continuity and collecting integrity. To summarize, the £2.80 Queen Elizabeth II Machin definitive stamp is far more than just a postage label. It is a relic of an era, a rare survivor from the upper echelons of British postal service, and a vital component of one of the greatest philatelic series ever created. As the world transitions into a new reign, these stamps serve as historical anchors, symbols of a time that has passed but is not forgotten. Whether you collect stamps for personal satisfaction, historical preservation, or financial investment, the £2.80 green Machin should absolutely be on your radar. Thank you for joining us for this extended deep dive on Stamps Old World UK. If you found this episode valuable, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and activate the bell icon so you never miss an episode. Share this video with fellow collectors, and tell us in the comments, do you own a £2.80 Machin stamp? Have you seen rare variants in your collection? Let us know your stories and discoveries. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and as always, happy collecting.